Hello, this is W.Berry, the Regional Emergency Coordinator for the state of Vermont. I'm here today to provide an update to our response and recovery efforts from the Vermont winter ice storm. This briefing is provided for the Burlington County Mayor's Office, the Vermont Governor's Office, the FEMA Director, and the Secretary of Homeland Security. We have some new weather alerts coming in, coupled with some troubling updates from Velco, police, and fire, which I'm going to discuss. The National Guard is arriving in solid numbers, and their presence couldn't come sooner. They are absolutely welcomed and needed across the board. I just issued a press release to the public informing them of the emerging weather conditions, our open emergency shelters, emergency supply distribution points, and some public safety guidelines. I need to stress to our government officials that we are receiving significant attention in the public media, and unfortunately, they are picking up on the regional problems we are experiencing with small-scale looting, overcrowding in jails, and obvious personnel shortages. With weather conditions worsening on the backs of a devastating power system, our efforts focus on offering supplies, shelter, and safety to ensure the welfare of the public. We are also endeavoring to restore public confidence through the restoration of law and order. And in terms of our government response efforts, under the declared state of emergency, FEMA is assisting us, and we are more than happy to welcome the Director of FEMA, Mr. William Craig Fugate, to survey the damage and review the NIMS plan. This NIMS incident response plan has been prepared and sent to all of you for your review and action. To summarize briefly, our NIMS plan outlines response and recovery efforts specific to meeting Homeland Security Presidential Directive 5. NIMS is the template which guides government, non-government, and the private sector in working together, and is applicable to the current state of emergency in Vermont. For your awareness, Governor Shumlin signed the executive order establishing NIMS as our Vermont emergency management in 2013. Now, we'll be using the incident management system with sections detailed for ops, logistics, planning, and finance. The roles and responsibilities for each section have been defined and specific agencies assigned. Again, please review it to see how you play a role in the effort. The NIMS plan is going to stay active through the entire recovery period, but we can review it as necessary. For near-term planning purposes, the FEMA Director will arrive at Ethan Allen Air Base in 7 days. I'm planning the itinerary, which will include time on the ground in Burlington for a meet and greet with citizens. But please expect significant media attention and live coverage. And I will work with the security team, and I'll need additional security and vehicle support, and I'll be in touch directly with some of you regarding those requests. Turning towards our current response efforts, and as you've seen, additional resources, supplies, and goods are arriving in droves. Disbursement points, including the Burlington Emergency Shelter and the neighborhood elementary schools, are standing up. I am also working with the National Guard for delivery to rural areas. And speaking of the National Guard, we received a total of 3,000 guardsmen to support security, restore law and order, and assist in supply disbursement. They'll also be involved in search and rescue efforts. And this may become an increasing focus area based on current weather forecasts. And if you haven't seen the latest weather report, allow me to provide you an update. The National Weather Service has issued an extreme weather alert for New England, and we're going to see temperatures drop down to 0, with 20 degrees as the average temperature during the day. There's also a 20% chance of snow flurries with minimal accumulation, if any. But given this weather outlook, coupled with the substantial power outages, getting our citizens into the shelter, or at least getting them the information and supplies they need to stay safe, that's our number one priority. At the moment, we have shelters available for 10,000 residents, but they're filling up rapidly. I've been told we can expect as much as 25,000 who are in need. Part of the immediate effort is going to be getting supplies to our residents who are staying at home and communicating safety and security messages. That's been a major issue for Burlington. Though we have been providing citizens with updated safety advisements, we're receiving troubling reports from the police and fire. We're hearing of security issues at the shelters, increased numbers of burglaries at residences and businesses, teenagers looting warehouses, and all this leading to overcrowding in our jails. Now, supplies seem to be running thin there as well. And across the board, the root of the problem is a lack of food and supplies, it seems. It's gotten to the point of facilitating a black market where prices for goods are skyrocketing. Now, people are getting desperate, and the obvious immediate solution is to make donated goods and supplies as widely available as possible. Under the operations section, a team of volunteers is organizing our supply and disbursement efforts. And those problems have the ability to get out of control, especially with our overworked police and fire employees. Now, plus our overtime budget has been expended. Emergency responders and area police are now being augmented by the National Guard. It should be stressed that the above conditions are receiving national-level media attention. All incident responders are asked to direct requests for information or interview to the Public Information Officer at the VIOC. To relieve some of the burden, the PIO is setting up a schedule for regular press briefings. And that's all, again, outlined in the NIMS plan. Now, most of the region continues without power, with estimates as high as 575,000 people affected. And Velco still cannot project the timeline for service to be fully restored. EMAC resources are arriving with additional manpower and equipment. But without power, the cold wave has the potential to increase casualties and injuries. Hypothermia, fire, carbon monoxide poisoning, ice-related injuries will increase as temperatures drop and the power stays off. Water pipes will burst at increasing rates, and fires from candles and portable heaters can be anticipated. Transportation is improving on major roads, but there's still significant work to be done in the rural areas and remote neighborhoods. This is all impacting access for Velco crews. Now, getting citizens into the shelter is priority, and the latest press release touches on shelter location information, offers those staying at home some emergency welfare tips. Again, public outreach is critical for those staying at home. We must make every effort to communicate these safety warnings and recommendations. We'll also continue efforts to encourage evacuations to one of many shelters in the region. For those refusing to leave their pets, please direct them to our pet-friendly shelter here in Burlington. Looking at resources. The fire department is struggling to keep up with the amount of calls for service and is requesting additional public outreach through media. Our PIO is advancing that effort. They also have exhausted their overtime budget, and our finance section is looking at options there. Health authorities at Fletcher Allen and Vermont Children's are running on backup generators, and they've advised they are running low on fuel. Our logistics section is working the issue with operations to get them the fuel they need. Hospitals have severe needs in general that we're working. They're low on blood supplies, and they're inundated with requests for information on missing persons. I think we can help there. We'll be sending a liaison representative to coordinate on these issues. And with the increased numbers of cardiac arrests, we will continue to advise on the dangers of overexertion from snow shoveling. For the shelters, the operations sections will be detailing 24-hour security, most likely National Guardsmen, to assist with recent security challenges. They are requesting 3 persons, and I think we should be able to match that request. Also, we are receiving troubling reports from farmers with over thousands of dead farm animals. The operations section has detailed an animal control to lead the site selection for a collection point, and once that's identified, we'll get that information out through the PIO. To end on a positive update, the AMC is sending supplies to Ethan Allen Air Force Base in 24 hours. All sections are going to be involved in this effort in transporting, organizing, dispersing, and documenting efforts. We are still in need of additional volunteer support for this endeavor, and a solicitation has gone out to the public. As always, I thank you for your time and attention, as well as the great effort that everyone is doing in response and recovery. Please stay safe out there.